What is up, guys? Marcellus Williams, aka TheSwolefessor, here to get you on health, fitness, social well-being. On screen, you guys can be seeing training footage from pretty much the last 3 weeks. The last training YouTube video that you guys saw was week 1 of this current block, which was a deload week. So on screen, you're going to be pretty much seeing training footage from weeks 2 all the way to week 4 of the completion of this block. Now, I don't have footage from every single session, but from what I do have, I just want to talk to you guys pretty much about what I'm doing and what I've gotten out of this block so far. So right now on screen, you guys seeing that I hit a single. This was my single at RPE 6, which was 419 pounds. And by this point, it's been about a month that I was using the Romalios, that I went back to heels. And even though my positioning was much better, I feel very stacked. It's able for me to, drive the knees forward and stay in that nice stacked position. This was the day that I realized that, as I was kind of concerned about, the Romalios are just not great for me in terms of how they feel in my knees. A lot of you guys expressed that you thought I maybe start to have knee issues just due to having a closer squat stance. The closer squat stance has never given me any knee issues at all. But even with my old wider squat stance, the reason why I switched out of Romalios a long time ago was because they just don't feel really good on my knees. One, it's a pretty high heel. It's a 0.75 inch heel. And then beyond that is the fact that it's kind of like it's steep. It's got like a nice slope to it. So there's a lot more forward knee travel than what I usually like. So as you guys can see here, what I ended up doing was, after my first back down in the Romalios, I did a back down in the flats to kind of compare and see how it felt. And even though it felt way better on my knees, no discomfort issues at all, I simply don't like the amount of extension that I get in flat. So I was in this position where, okay, my positioning is obviously better in heels, but I got to do what's best for longevity. So I need something that's kind of in the middle, kind of balanced. So what you guys can see on screen here is when I was working on my boy Anas, and this is obviously these gym workouts you're gonna see was because of the quarantine. You'll notice that I'm in a different squat shoe. These are the positions. These are a 0.5 heel. And what I did on this day was I compared those to the flats, and they feel amazing. It's like the best of both worlds. It's like I get in the same nice stacked position that I usually get into with heels, but with none of the knee issues or none of the knee pain. And what I like about the position specifically is because they have that nice wooden heel, it's very sturdy. Like once I get my feet set, I'm planted and I'm not going anywhere, but it's not such a big heel to where it's wearing on my knees. So for me, it's kind of the best of both worlds. So if you're someone like me where maybe flats feel a little bit more natural and comfortable for you, but you feel like your positioning's better in the heel, would strongly recommend them. It's just a 0.5 inch heel, so like just half an inch, and they just feel great. Now right here, what you guys are seeing is, of course, conventional deadlifts. You're noticing hopefully that what I've really been working on is just taking more time with my setup. You guys can see I'm really taking my time to hinge, so that way at no point am I just flexing over to get down to the bar. That's one of my biggest issues, is simply due to how I'm built. Like you guys know, I can't just sit down in a perfect position and be in a neutral position. I have to really take my time, making sure I'm pushing my hips back as far as I can, so that I really am driving the knee, pushing my knees forward, seeing the hips back and keeping that back in as neutral position as possible. Once again, some lumbar flexion is not going to hurt you with the deadlift, but for me, the better position I'm in at the start on the bottom, just the smoother and easier the lockout's going to be. It's a little bit slower off the floor for me this way because I'm taking a little bit more time to get down to the bar, as well as the fact that when I let myself flex over a little bit, I can kind of just slingshot the weight up. But once the weight's off the ground, it flies and the lockouts feel much better. So this is the position that I've been going with lately. It's just really taking the time to push my knees forward, sit my hips as far back as I can, and once I get the slack out, really flatten that back out completely before pulling, and it's been feeling great. Now on this day, right, this is you guys see that I'm back in the flats. This is my primary squat day, so a week from the first clip you guys saw. This was week 3, and I believe I ended up working up to like 452 pounds. And what you guys are going to notice here is the reason I'm back in flats is because at this point I hadn't ordered my pair of positions yet. I still want to kind of see what the flats felt like working back up to heavier loads. And the reality is I was able to maintain pretty much the same position I do in heels, except for the fact that you guys will see right at the bottom when I hit the hole, right here, it's just a little bit more, like I said, extension than what I'd like. It's just a little bit hard for me to stay stacked. Even though it's really easy for me to ground my feet in the flats, the back position just doesn't feel quite as good. On top of that is the fact that I've noticed that I've gotten so caught up and focused on externally rotating the shoulders to kind of have the elbows more under the bar, that I've kind of been slacking on properly retracting and keeping that upper back tight for the entirety of the squat. So that obviously adds to it as well. But you guys can see right here, this is 452 pounds. And, you know, even for me, even for my typical like grind, this was pretty slow for like what I would want for an RP7. But it didn't move poorly. What I ended up doing though is on my back downs on this day was I really just took my time and focused on like, okay, get the upper back tight, drive the knees forward, and not try to force speed. Just focus on tension and position and let the speed kind of come at a natural pace to me. And even though I had to like, you know, slow it down, I was able to maintain much better position. But this is also what kind of led me to believe that, okay, I definitely think I want to go back to the heel, because even though the same concepts still apply, as far as maintaining tension, position, not forcing speed, I can just move into the hole a little bit faster whenever I'm in a heel. And one thing, like I said, that I liked about the positions is the fact that I'm able to ground my feet really well, the same way I do in the flats, but I also feel very stable and planted, like I'm not going anywhere the same way I do in heels. That's the one thing. When I'm in flats and I plant my feet, I just don't feel quite as like settled as what I do when I'm wearing heels. Anyway, after the squats on this day, like this is, like I said, an SPD day for my Saturdays right now, as you guys know. So I ended up having to do on this day, I believe, 4 doubles with 3 count tempo with 265 pounds. And now, as I don't currently have access to a trap bar, we've switched those out for just higher rep, straight sets of deadlift with a 3 count eccentric. So this is 3 sets of 6 with, I want to say, I started off with something like just 407 pounds. And honestly, like as light as the weight is, guys, this controlled eccentric does not feel good. Like it feels great position wise, but it is tiring for sure. And what we're going to probably be doing with this upcoming block is actually switching these out for pauses, so that we can kind of just keep progressing, like, you know, the idea of tension and position, but allow me to push the loads more, just because, as you guys know, tempo work always tends to nerf me a lot more than like pause work or long pause work. Now, clips you guys are seeing right here, this is my primary bench day, and I believe this is like week 3. So yeah, I ended up working to, I think, about 330 pounds. And what I'm doing here is just like, you know, long pause work. It doesn't have to be like, you know, 4 or 5 seconds like that, just a little bit longer than a brief pause, basically. So I hold it for about 1, 2, then I press, and then go from there. So yeah, I believe I worked up to 330 pounds on this day, and it felt really, really good. I've always done really well with long pause bench work. One, it just helps me to maintain better tension and position, obviously, but it also just helps me a lot confidence wise. It's kind of like, okay, if I can hit, you know, 330, 340, 350 pounds for a long pause, it makes me feel very confident for pushing for like, you know, 360, that 370 range for a normal comp pause at the same RPE. Granted, oftentimes, sometimes long pauses end up being the actual comp pauses anyway, just based upon, you know, who's judging you at your meet. But all in all, those felt really good. And right here, you guys can see I'm just doing some high rep Pendlay rows. Obviously having to be creative with what I have access to in terms of accessory work. I've had days where I've been able to get access to things like a belt squat for my lower body days, just depending on, like, you know, if a friend has his belt squat available or not. But as far as a lot of the upper body stuff, it's kind of just been based upon where I'm at. I work with what I've got, so I'm doing a whole lot more, like, you know, rows, pull-ups, dips, just a typical free weight stuff, which isn't a problem for me because you guys know that's my background anyway. So here, once again, at Analysis Garage Gym, using these positions. And after this day was the day that I finalized, yeah, I definitely need to get a pair of my own. So I ordered my own pair at this point, and you guys will see me using them on my next squat day. Now on this day here, same thing, still taking my time with the eccentric and loading up on it. But one thing that I changed was, instead of being quite as upright as I usually am when I brace, working up to my top set, I tried working on being like just a tad bit bent over, just because, so that way I can already start with having my knees a little bit more forward, just to see if that helped me get in a better position. And even though the positioning felt pretty good, I didn't feel like I could get quite as tight or get quite as good at braces when I'm upright. And you guys are going to kind of be able to see that when I get to the actual top set. You'll notice that even though it moves pretty much just as well as it did the week before, despite being like a few pounds higher, it's just not quite as good at positioning as what I had the week before. So I just know that for me, being in that more like stacked upright position feels a lot better for my brace, and then just taking more time to hinge down while maintaining that neutral positioning. And for those of you who are wondering, because I've been asked a lot, especially on Instagram, exactly like, hey, so what are you doing in terms of the brace, the setup, like why are you doing all that? I've explained on the channel before, but I'll probably be doing like just a full-on breakthrough of my conventional deadlift setup at some point here in the future, whenever I just, you know, feel motivated to record something like that, hopefully back when gyms open up again. I'll do something like that for you guys. But you guys will see right here with the top set, it still moved well, but I had a little bit more back give than what I'd like. And once again, that's just from not getting quite the same brace. So on the back downs here, you'll see that I actually stayed more upright during the initial brace, and that because of it, I was able to stay in much better position on these pulls right here. And it's just a balance for me. It's this thing of like, no matter what, I know my deadlift, my convention is always going to look a little bit more like a stiff leg, just simply due to how I'm built. But the more I can get those knees forward as I'm hinging down, the better for me. Now, this is a day where I was in my own position. Y'all already know your boy had to go with the red and black. And I'll be honest, like the positions are, I don't know how I feel about them. On some days I feel like, yo, these look pretty sexy. On other days I'm like, yo, this is the ugliest squash I've ever gotten. But we're about function over fashion here. So either way, this is my first day being able to test them out, and you guys are going to be able to see the difference in terms of like just how well everything's moving, not just because of the shoes, but you'll be able to notice like I'm really focused on like, a nice steady pace into the hole. It's obviously faster than what I was doing for those tempo back downs the week before, but I'm just focusing on control and a tight back. So right here, this is 419 pounds, moves super smooth and easy, the easiest weight it's felt in a while. And now this is 452 pounds, the weight I did for my top set last week. And just look at how much faster it moves compared to the week before out of the hole. It felt great. So decided to bump it up to 474 pounds for my RP8. And the cool thing about this, guys, was this was the first time where this weight didn't just feel like an RP of 8 in terms of exertion, but it literally felt like I had like it felt like more like going based upon RIR, not just RP, but actual reps in reserve. I actually felt like, yeah, I could rep this out 2 more times if I needed to. It definitely wouldn't have been fast, but I'm not a fast squatter anyways, you guys know. But the overall just positioning and how it felt on my back was amazing. I was really, really happy with how this moved. So definitely heading in the right direction in terms of squat positioning and using these shoes. And I'm only going to get better at them the more comfortable I get. And then my back downs on this day felt so much easier than the week before as well, which once again isn't just due to the shoes, but it's due to like, okay, I'm focusing on upper back tightness, I'm focusing on driving the knees forward, and I'm not trying to quote unquote stay upright. When I get in a stacked position, I'm just focusing on maintaining that same alignment all the way into the hole, but I'm not trying to stay so upright to where I don't allow myself to naturally hinge after I drive those knees forward, and that's helped me out a lot. Whereas before, when I wouldn't do that, it would cause me to like tilt in the hole if I tried to stay too quote unquote upright. And then that's the reality, guys. It's like there's nothing wrong with trying to get in a stacked upright position, but it's just knowing that once you're there, your main focus should be driving these forward, letting the hips hinge down, and keeping your back as tight as possible versus trying to force an unnatural type of uprightness, because from simply getting in a more stacked position at the top, you're going to be a little bit more upright once you get into the hole than what you'd be if you started more extended anyway. And then right here, you got, you got the homies Michael and JD trying to mock the beauty of your boy's setup. But honestly, I was really happy with how these moved too. And you guys can even see here, I don't know, those of you who've been following me for a while remember back when I pulled conventional, like before I switched to sumo and then came back conventional, my conventional never looked this good, man. I was always really flexed over, could never really get in a good position, and was convinced that, yeah, I'm just not built well for conventional. Yet here I am doing it with some of the best positioning I've ever done it with, and it's, it's the way I pull for my comp style right now. So just goes to show you guys that you can't get too dogmatic and thinking that, oh, I just can't do this. Sometimes it takes stepping away from something, learning some new cues, learning some new technical things to work on, and then coming back. Then this was from the last primary bench day of the block. And I was really, really happy with this, just in terms of like what I worked up to. I ended up working up to 352 pounds. The long pause could have been a little bit longer, but it was still like, longer than what my usual pause is. And it moved extremely smooth. And then to work up to 298 pounds for my back down, to be touching weight like this, like for back down sets this far out from the meet, is really, really huge. Mind you, I have no clue at what point I'll be competing right now, obviously. But that's not even just due to the shutdown so much as the fact that I'm not sure when I plan on competing again. Like I said, right now I'm just really focused on building, trying to add size, trying to add weight to my lifts, as well as adding weight to the scale. And right now it's going really well. I'm actually chilling around 169, 170 pounds right now on average, and shooting to gain about, like, at first I was going to go for like about half a pound to a pound a week, but now I'm shooting closer to like a pound to a pound and a half. I mean, not a week, a month, but now I'm shooting closer to a pound and a half a month, just because I can kind of afford to push a little bit more due to how lean I already am. Now right here, guys, just showing you some more accessory work, but I just want y'all to pay attention to how explosive I'm trying to be. That's a quick tip that I talked about on Instagram actually, is that when it comes to your accessory work, guys, or really any of your volume work, you're going to get way more bang for your buck by trying to be explosive like eccentric. It's okay if you want to be nice and slow and control with the eccentric, but there's lots of good research and data to show that the faster we move a weight, the more higher threshold muscle fibers we're going to touch, even if we're not getting that close to failure. From just moving the weight faster, even if it's a lighter weight, you get basically a better hypertrophic response from that. So quick tip, especially for those of you where you're stuck with light weights or maybe just your body weight at home, if you don't feel like just doing like a whole bunch of reps to all out failure, then make sure the reps you are doing are fast and explosive so that you can get some quality gains from doing that. Now, what you guys just saw there was me hitting 286 pounds for a top set of 7, which was a PR for me on my secondary bench day. And then I had some back down sets of 8 with 120 kilograms, which is 265 pounds. Don't ask me what Michael and Oscar in the background. I couldn't even tell you right now. But yeah, pretty much, guys, this is that's pretty much it. That's what the block's been looking like. Like I said, obviously I couldn't show you every single session. I had some days where I was just trying to rush in and out. So there's a lot of like secondary squat days that weren't shown here. In fact, I don't think I showed any secondary squat days. And then you guys just saw that one clip of the secondary bench day. But the rest, you guys pretty much have a good idea of where I'm at and what I'm doing. And I am going to do my best to try to be more motivated to record more of these workouts and more informative stuff for you guys, even with everything going on. I've been, like I said, pretty active with the Instagram, but not as much with YouTube. I want to make sure that I'm staying on top of that. I've done really good with making sure I upload at least one video a week since I started this channel, and I like to keep true to doing that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and just let the rest of this raw footage play for you so you guys can see your boy hit a deadlift PR in this block. But yeah, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, go leave a comment down below, let me know what you did. If not, leave a comment down below, let me know what can we do better. Like the video, share, subscribe. Keep it simple, specific, scientific, and I'll catch you guys later. There you go. Here we go, come on. Push! There we go. Yeah.